We're going to have chaos this weekend, Sammy.
Georgia just really got bullied last year.
They have flaws. They absolutely have flaws.
Maybe they looked ahead. Maybe they're just not that good.
Mateer could say whatever he wants about, oh, I'm healthy, it wasn't my hand. He was bad.
Well, this is a PSA, guys. Don't be a penalty vulture.
Vandy hasn't been favored over LSU since World War II.
They did not profile like a 10-win team. They profiled like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 to 22-year-olds emotionally ruin me.
I made a call, to Vegas. I said, look, we actually need the favor here.
Hello there, everybody. Bear Bets Podcast back. I'm Bear. That's Geoff. That's Sammy. Massive week. 11 ranked teams on the road against an unranked team and 5 massive ranked matchups.
We're going to have chaos this weekend, Sammy. It feels that way. It's just college football, middle of the season, separation weekend. There's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of teams to watch.
And Tennessee might beat Alabama. Look out.
Tennessee, way down south in Tennessee.
You missed your calling as a
I did.
as a performer.
I admit that. Well, that's one of the 3 SEC ranked matchups. You've got Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia, LSU, Vandy, and I think it really is kind of the epicenter of the college football world this week. Everyone kind of knows Ohio State, Indiana, the Big Ten strata, best 2 teams in the conference. No one really can figure out the SEC. Who's the best team in the SEC? Alabama, the betting favorite. But if I had to pick one right now, I would go with Texas A&M. I know the win at Notre Dame was controversial with the lack of a holding call, but what?
Sure, just whatever. How I feel about this.
That was just for you.
Sorry, continue.
Jeff, jab him with this stick while we're at it.
Exactly. But they put up 41 points. They came back. It's a team that has gotten better. Big physical team, good defense, great coaching staff. They've basically done everything you can so far, and we'll see. They got a potential road upset trap at Arkansas this week, but with Reed in that offense right now, and a defense that's getting better, started slow against Florida last week, but second half it did nothing. Aggie's got a really good shot at the very least of getting to Atlanta.
I think it's still Alabama. Yeah, they have an offense that is, it's getting better up front, especially the offensive line is gelling a little more, playing better. Defensively, they actually can stop the run, but they give it too many explosive. If you stop that down, I think you're going to be okay. Ty Simpson's getting better every week, which is important to note. But also, Kalen DeBoer has won a lot of football games, Sammy, everywhere he's been. And you look at year 2 at Washington versus year 2 at Alabama, it's sort of paralleling that a lot. And so I just like where Alabama's at right now. Their schedule's brutal. I get it. They might lose this weekend. It's a 4 straight big game for them. I think Alabama's the best team in the SEC.
I agree. I have Bama number 1 in the SEC, but to your point about the uncertainty, I texted 3 different Vegas bookmakers. Who's the highest power rated team? One said Bama, one said A&M, one said Georgia.
Georgia's still interesting.
Look, if this person's high on Georgia, fine. You're banking on Kirby and probably the defense. If you're banking on Bama, you're banking on Simpson. And A&M, I think, is a collection of all sides of the ball. But I don't think Vegas has an answer for who's the best team.
No, and that I'm glad it kind of went that way, because in my top 10 that I do, like, I feel like I've been consistently lower on Ole Miss than a lot of people are. And to hear that Vegas is kind of there with me, that 3 different people have 3 different teams ranked number 1, and one of them is not the undefeated Ole Miss Rebels, like, makes me feel kind of good about where I am in assessing this conference.
Right. And from a price standpoint, the best price of the 3, Georgia's 6-1 at DraftKings. I looked at Texas and thought, do I trust Sark? Do I trust Arch in an SEC championship game? Probably not. If you're looking for a bet, I think the answer is Georgia.
Well, so Georgia, then they would have to beat Texas, obviously, at home, which will eliminate Texas
and beat
as well.
Ole Miss this week.
And beat Ole Miss this week.
Which they will.
And so, like, relative to what we know about Georgia, what do they do really well right now, Bear, that's like a backbone of their team? You could say this is what they do. It's run the football. And I think, and also just knowing how to close out games. That's an important factor that teams struggle with to learn. And Georgia feels like no matter how poorly they play through the first 50 minutes of a game or 45 minutes of a game or first half of a game, I trust them out of maybe all these teams to actually finish the game with a win.
Like you look at this two games on the road this year at Tennessee, at Auburn, were down double digits at both games, came back to win. The Alabama game, they were down double digits, nearly came back to win. Maybe you kick the field goal there, maybe you do, but you're right. The rotating, the injuries that they've had on the offensive line, which seems to happen every year, but they can still run the ball in the second half. Adjustments on defense, Sammy, have been really good so far.
And which coach do we trust? Is it DeBoer? Is it Elko? Is it Kirby? For me, it's Kirby. I'll speak for myself. I think their adjustment game is unmatched in this league. The ability to go into the half, what didn't work, we're going to figure it out. We're going to iron things out and come out with a new plan of attack in the second half.
Yeah.
Kirby's done it for decades. So for the price, look, I like Alabama, but I'm not betting plus 150, plus 160. I'm looking at Georgia 6-1.
And for Georgia to get to the title game over Alabama, obviously now Alabama's going to have to lose twice. They got Tennessee this week at South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, two offensively challenged teams. They have both coming to Bryant-Denny, and then they go to Auburn. So two losses might be tough to come by there. And then they would potentially need A&M to lose and win a tiebreak with A&M. And you look at A&M, they got the game against Arkansas this week. They go to LSU, they go to Missouri, and they go to Texas. Feels like there might be a better path for Georgia to be rooting for A&M to lose than Alabama.
Well, it's going to be an awesome weekend of ball, as we know, in the SEC. And we're going to be joined by Will Hill next to talk all about the SEC and every game this weekend in college football.
Bear Bets is back now, and happy to be joined again by our good friend Will Hill to help us break down some of the bigger games here in college football this weekend. A big one Saturday night in South Bend. Looks like weather might be a factor. Notre Dame, USC kind of feels like one of those loser leave town games in terms of the college football playoff chase.
Yeah, it sure does. And look, in terms of the weather, that's a good break for Notre Dame here. USC wants it to be as perfect conditions as possible. The muddier, the wetter, the windier, the better for Notre Dame. And I think we saw this a couple of years ago when Caleb Williams was still there, where they got kind of a cold, rainy, windy night, and it really favored Notre Dame. I like USC here. I liked them a lot more before the weather report, but I do think they have the passing game to keep this close with Mayava and Lemon, who's going to be just, I think, a really good pro. And I'm interested to see Notre Dame. Will they put more on Lemon? Lemon's usually a slot guy. Moore usually stays on the outside. That would be a fascinating matchup if we do get it. That's a matchup we're going to see on Sundays for years to come, because those are both NFL players. As far as betting, I like USC plus 3.5 in the first quarter. We've talked about this, in past years. Most teams defer when they win the toss. USC usually takes the ball. So I think good chance here USC starts with the ball, plus 3.5 in the first quarter. If you're getting the ball, is a pretty good bet. If you want to parlay, I know some of these books do a little boost. And Notre Dame in the third quarter, minus 2.5. Those are very correlated. So I like USC early on, just based on the coin toss tendencies.
Look, USC erased some demons by beating Michigan last week. They certainly did. A game that I didn't think they could do. But can you do it again with a better version of Michigan, right? A team that is good in the trenches but can actually score and pass the football. We know Notre Dame's offense is prolific. Can USC stop the run? Can they rush the passer when they have to? We know they can rush the passer, but a situation when it's more favorable to the offense. And then I think that the biggest question for me is Notre Dame's defense improvement real? Is it real? And then the injuries at USC are a problem. The top two running backs are out. And then, we were talking about this, Bear, earlier, like the left tackle practiced all week. He dressed for practice and didn't play this weekend.
Imagine that, Lincoln Riley pulling tricks with injuries.
And so, again, is he playing? It's a big loss if your left tackle's out at Notre Dame. So I lean to Notre Dame here, Sammy. I just think that I don't trust USC in back-to-back games in this spot. Like the Irish are playing, and their defense improvement, I think, is real. Can USC do this again on the road, which, by the way, has been a problem for them on the road? They have not played well the last couple of years with Lincoln Riley on the road.
When I came out this week on Monday and had Notre Dame, my fifth best team in the country, I thought, that's a typo, Bear. I'm like, that can't be right. And then I talked to one of our guys yesterday who said, I have them third.
Yep.
Third in the country. Their offense is elite. Their quarterback is exceptional. And I think the lack of running backs that are healthy for USC guys is a problem. Now, to Will's point, if USC jumps ahead, it could sit on the lead. That's a different story. But if they fall behind and Mayava's got to be the hero and be Superman, I think it could be a long day for the USC offense. And we know the other thing about Notre Dame, they have to win this game, and they need style points because they need to impress this committee, Bear.
If you look at Notre Dame offensively, Power 4 teams versus other Power 4 teams, 7.2 yards per play, which is tops in the country. So, I mean, their offense has been great. And then to hit on your USC on the road, under Lincoln Riley, 0-4 on the road as an underdog. Go back last 20 games as a road underdog. SC's only pulled 2 upsets, so this is typically not a good spot for a SC. Moving on here, where Big Noon Kickoff is going to be the Holy War, Utah at BYU. The Utes a 3.5-point road favorite over BYU. That gets us downtime for the Super Six presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Geoff, we'll both have the columns coming out this week. What will the outcome be? We're going to put you first up on the T. Will, you got anything here? Utah, BYU?
Dog and under. Probably like the under more. I just don't know that I trust this Utah offense to score. And they obviously got a huge break last week with against Arizona State, seeing Sims instead of Levitt. And that game was just not a fair fight. But Utah, can they bring this offense on the road? Can they score in a tough environment? And rivalry games typically tend to be closer and low scoring. This is going to be just a lot of fun to watch. And it's a great slate this weekend. We've had a couple this last month of just absolutely like wall-to-wall, unbelievable slates. So to me, Sammy, it's dog, it's under, and I think I like the under the most.
Under, especially at 49.5. This opened 47 in Vegas. So the fact that we can get a little extra wiggle here, maybe a 25-24 final, and just land under by a half point. I actually did nothing with this game. I did bet the last game, but I did nothing in the Holy War.
I would lean toward Utah here. I like their offensive line a little bit better. The one game this year that they struggled in was the Texas Tech game. Obviously a better opponent. They played the rest of the season, but Dampier was also hurt in that game. We found out afterwards he wasn't healthy, Bear. Another Utah sort of injury, quarterback, a little mystery. He's very healthy now, and the offense has looked better, shockingly, since he's been more healthy. The one question they always have about Utah, same question I have for every big game, can they generate enough explosive plays? I don't know if people will turn to what BYU did last week. That was a look-ahead spot, Bear. I don't put much into that game, but I think Utah's a better team. They're better in the trenches. They're better at quarterback. It's a rivalry game. They're off that bad loss last year. I think I lean Utah here.
Yeah, it's interesting. BYU looking for their first 3-game winning streak over the Utes in 25 years, which are more than 25 years, which is interesting. And then the one thing about Utah, which I found surprising, just going through some notes on the game, they've been really good in the first half. They're plus 55 scoring margin in the first half against Power 4 teams. So maybe a Utah first half wager might be something you want to look at as well. When we come back, we will get into some of the other big games, especially the big one in the SEC between Georgia and Ole Miss.
All right, we're back on Bear Bets. Another huge game in the SEC, a continued trend of ranked versus ranked here. We have Ole Miss at Georgia. Will, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this game?
My first thought is what a subtle little shot Bear took at our great producer, Sully, when he said big game in the SEC. I thought, all right, Alabama, Tennessee, I'm ready to talk about it. But he goes Georgia, Ole Miss, which I thought was just mean and intentional. I would lean towards Georgia here. I think they win. I think, look, revenge from last year. Georgia just really got bullied last year. If you go back and look at that game, I think it was early November. Ole Miss was able to hold up defensively, able to hold up in the trenches. This is not the same talent level defensively for Ole Miss. They lost a lot of NFL guys. I thought last year was really their chance to, get to a semifinal, get to a final. They've had their moments this year, but I don't know, going on the road against a Georgia team that's still really good. It's not a vintage Georgia team, but, Georgia winning the game by like 7 to 10, 14 points, something like that, I think is the way I would lean. Probably not enough to bet it, but I would be surprised if Ole Miss gets them back-to-back years here.
Yeah, I would be too, Will. I think if you look at Georgia, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. They have flaws. They absolutely have flaws. But they have, as I like to joke about the old, our friend Bill Raftery, they have onions. And they have a great running game, and Stockton can run. Offensive line has been beat up, but they still just do enough to get you. Offensively, I think they're really good, and I worry about Ole Miss's defense here. We've seen them give up some plays on the ground quite a bit this year. And you know how I love to mine for data and look for things. If you go back, 7.5-point underdog for a 6-0 team is not something that you see very often. If you go back over the last 10 years, this has happened 16 times. If you take away the COVID year where there weren't fans in the seats, 16 times you've had a team 6-0 or better, at least a 7-point underdog. Those 6-0 teams were on combined 1-15. So expecting Ole Miss to pull the outright upset is a little bit of a stretch. We'll see. I mean, did they get caught maybe looking ahead last week too? Obviously, that game against Washington State was a hell of a lot closer than we thought it would be. But I like the spot here for Georgia. Revenge, motivation, undefeated team coming in, all the intangibles I like to say, and I think a big edge here, offensive line running a game against, I think, an Ole Miss defense that is pretty vulnerable here, Sammy.
Maybe they looked ahead. Maybe they're just not that good. I've got Georgia 7 points better on a neutral. So what's home field in
11?
Athens?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're closer to 10. Ed Salmons at Westgate said he makes it 10 as well. This is also, let's understand this. This is the first FBS road start
Correct.
for Chambliss, the quarterback.
He's
Played a lot of road games at lower levels, but not in the SEC.
That's the number one thing I think that's going to really hamper Ole Miss in this game. You can think mentally you're ready to play in that environment, but we know before they lost to Bama, they'd won with 33 straight home games. Like, this is a place, and Kirby's been imploring the fans this weekend to add a little bit of juice to that. Look, again, Ole Miss, Washington State was what it was, but it wasn't pretty bare. I know there's look-ahead spots that happens in football, but this was a little beyond that. I didn't like the way their offense operated. Washington State, by the way, was able to run the football in this game, and they're not a running team. And so I think Georgia back against the wall here, motivation from last season. They do a lot of things well, and they're not the Georgia team we know from the past, but still very good. I do think Georgia is the right side here.
And you mentioned, Sammy, about experience and Chambliss' first road start. You go back last 6 years, Georgia's been involved in these types of games every week. 13 ranked versus ranked matchups at Sanford Stadium. They've won 12 of the 13. Obviously, that loss against Alabama a couple weeks ago, ending that streak.
All right, well, time to get to the game that you joked about earlier. We'll make our producer happy here with Tennessee and Alabama here. I believe you like the dog in this game. Are you doing this to butter up to the production staff?
It's a little bit of both. I like him, and I also I want to make Sully feel better after Bear snubbed him earlier, saying this wasn't as important as Georgia Ole Miss. I think it's an important game. I think it's a fun game. First team to 40 wins. I don't know where the stops come from. I think that, look, it's not a vintage Bama team, just like we talked about. It's not a vintage Georgia team. They don't get a pass rush. That's a pass rush that just doesn't get home. And against Aguilar, I think Tennessee is going to be able to move the ball. Tennessee does have some guys in the front four that are going to the NFL that you like. The problem is you watch them last week against Arkansas. Arkansas really moved the ball up and down the field. And if Arkansas is going to do that to you in your own building, what's Bama going to do to you on the road? So to me, 42, 35, 38, 35. I think Tennessee's in again with an 8-point spread. You're looking at maybe a backdoor cover situation. I think Tennessee can compete in this game. I like over. I like Tennessee. And if you're looking from like a prop perspective, and maybe even you ladder it, Alabama's got to get Ryan Williams more involved. He's been very quiet here, a little too quiet. If I'm Tennessee, I don't like how quiet he's been the past couple weeks. So I'd expect some early touches. When you have a guy that's that good, that established, and it's he hasn't been doing much. He hasn't been getting the ball. Usually that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and they try to feed him early. So I think Williams has a big day. Again, high scoring game, fun game. I think Tennessee covers, and I like the over.
Georgia, Vandy, Mizzou, now Tennessee. This has been an unbelievable stretch for Alabama, and it's not like they haven't impressed. I mean, they've been very good. Ty Simpson made some throws in that fourth quarter too against Mizzou. The Jets fans were like, "Oh, there's our next quarterback." That was happening. I think Will throws out a massive number. I don't disagree. I'm not on the under. That's a big. What'd you say? 42-35. Will, that's your final?
Yeah.
I think it could be something like what was last week? Arkansas, Tennessee was that 38-35. I could see a very similar kind of game this week. Unless Tennessee really makes it a point, let's protect our defense, let's run the ball, let's try to slow the game down, which is possible. But I think we're getting a lot of fireworks here.
I just love Heupel in this role too, Bear, catching points north of a touchdown. I will be on the balls.
Well, what wasn't the last game here like 52-48?
Yeah,
ridiculous type.
I don't know why that's any different this year.
Like,
I mean, Tennessee's defense last year was good. It's not as good this year. I mean,
No.
again, your point. They allowed 31 to Arkansas, 34 to Mississippi State. The last two games they played. They're not getting stops quite like they did last year. They had to replace all those guys on defense. And Bama, their run defense is funny. Their run defense is fine. So they give up a ton of explosives. Like it's okay, but if they cut that down, they're much better on defense. And the pressure rate, I think Will mentioned the pressure rate, 129th in the country for Alabama, which is rather shocking to see a team like we've seen in the past be able to rush the passer that way. How do they affect the quarterbacks? I don't know. And that's why I lean toward Tennessee probably covering because there's so many points scored in this game. They could easily get in the back door.
Yeah, maybe an Alabama team total might be a way that I look at it. Ryan Williams is alluded to before, 0 catches against Missouri, and that it was funny. You look at that game last week, and our friend Bill Connolly with his post game win expectancies, like the post game win expectancy for Alabama, like wasn't super high, which
it was 28,
yeah, which is like I watched a good bit of that game because I was on Missouri. It was very fortunate to get the. It's weird. I was fortunate to get the push, but it felt like a game that I could have won. But their defense, they made, you mentioned Simpson made throws when he had to. They made plays when they had to. So
it just feels so hard to do this 4 weeks in a row now, basically.
Yes.
Like it's
that's the thing. And people get all wound up. I mean, you go through my Twitter timeline.
People are not happy with you about the ranks thing.
Like how dare I bring up that this is the fourth straight game against a ranked team for Alabama, and that Alabama on their schedule right now has is six of their whole games against teams currently ranked. Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon in the Big Ten have combined for 3. So it's like, how dare I bring up the facts here? But
and I've been on Bama in 3 straight weeks. I feel like I could have lost 2 of those games outright. You know what I'm saying? Against Georgia and against Mizzou. So they've been playing with fire. They've come out of it okay, but this is a very, very good offense at Tennessee.
Speaking of fire, Will, LSU seemingly has been playing with fire all year long. Offensively, they've been struggling, can't get a consistent running game going. Nussmeier has been beat up, tight end's been beat up, and now they are in a rare position of being an underdog against Vanderbilt. The fact that Vanderbilt is favorite over a ranked team. Like if you go back to 1978, this is the 176th game that Vandy has played against a ranked opponent. It's the first time Vandy's been favored in any of those games. But it feels to me like they should be.
Yeah, and the people that love the trends, historical trends, you're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Vandy ranked against LSU, Vandy favorite against LSU, Vandy favorite against ranked teams. You just throw all of them out there. It's a lot that 5-10 years ago would have broken your brain. That being said, Sammy mentioned that Alabama, in their schedule recently. Vandy probably, I don't want to say should have won the game, but they had their opportunities, red zone turnovers. They had their opportunities to be right there at the end. That was a game where Bama pulled away. I like the under. I think that Vandy's going to look back at that Bama game and say, wait, we lost this time of possession game 37.5, basically like 22.5. I think that adds up to 60. Sammy's the nerd. Sammy can double check. But they got killed in time of possession. It got away from them late. I think they're going to run the ball and try to control the pace, try to control the clock. And LSU is an under team. They don't score a lot of points. They don't give up a lot of points. Look at their final score, guys. It's 20-10, a couple 20-10 wins, a 24-19 loss to Ole Miss. That South Carolina thing last week, that wasn't a thing of beauty. I think we're looking at an under here. As far as bets, you guys know I like these under 10.5 in the first quarter, where you could have 7-3. Both teams score 7-3 in the first quarter is a pretty likely score. That still stays under the 10.5. Getting that half a point with LSU in the first quarter, I don't think is a bad idea either. I do think Vandy ultimately wins the game. Am I loving the idea of laying points with them? No, but I'm with you, Bear. I think this line is justified.
Vandy hasn't been favored over LSU since World War II. Is that good?
Who covered that game? Do we know?
Bear was there.
Yeah, Bino and I were there covering that game together.
That's insane. Talked to 2 bookmakers yesterday. Their 2 wisest guys went under 49 and under 48. We are now at 47.5 in a couple places in Vegas. So they do support what Will's throwing down, and I do love me a first quarter under. I didn't do it here. Doesn't LSU kind of feel like Penn State light with all the preseason expectations? You've got an NFL quarterback, and they haven't delivered on that side of the ball.
They have not, and I think we've had enough games to understand this is what they are this year.
Yep.
I think wrongly are going to think like they could break out at some point. 20 points, 19 points, Florida 20 points, Clemson 17 points. Like that's
and the LSU game, it was a pick six, 13 offensive points in that game against Florida.
So this is what they are offensively, and there's a long session to be had. We talk about this every week about returning production and what that actually means. And then Vanderbilt offensively, I think will struggle a little bit with LSU's defensive line. Now, to be fair, this is the best offense line Vanderbilt has had in forever. Like they got dudes that actually can compete. Forever, a team like Vanderbilt they were undersized in the offensive line. They could compete for a little bit of time in a game like this. Now they can compete a long time.
Joe Moore Award candidate, are they?
They're a midseason honor roll. Yes,
Okay.
they're on the midseason honor roll. Got announced last night, by the way. If you want to go check that out, go to Joe Moore Award on social media. And then we ended up having 5 SEC offensive lines, 7 Big Ten, a couple Big 12, a couple ACC. So well represented there on our show last
When
night.
was Miami?
Miami was on there. Don't
Should
worry.
be.
There's no ranking 1 through whatever. It's a midseason honor roll.
We rank them 1 at the very end.
It's all that matters at the very end, and that 800-pound trophy shows up in that locker room. But to me, it's under or nothing. We've all said the under. I mean, it is what it is. But that's what I think we're at right now with under game.
We talk about kind of bouncing back, Vandy bouncing back from that game against Alabama. It's kind of a theme here. You got Oklahoma going on the road. You got Missouri trying to bounce back this week, and then Geoff, unfortunately, last week, Oregon with the loss in at home again against Indiana. 17.5 feels like a very big number to be laying. Your hopes are you kind of have your bubble burst, undefeated, big game, travel across country now to the banks of the Raritan. It seems like going to be kind of a hard game, I think, to get up for early on. No, maybe one of those first half Rutgers plus the points, first quarter under there. What's it, 3 touchdowns now in the last 8 quarters?
Should I stay here for the game? Should I stay in town? Just make my way up to.
Would you?
wonderful-
Well, it depends on what the marital status. Like, will the doors be, the locks be changed?
Will
and
I be
papers
married?
served?
Will I be married when I return? For my 3rd Oregon game this season in 6 weeks. Look, there's obviously the Oregon fan in me, and there's also like the realist of college football in me. And like, this is a big number for any college football spot that Oregon is in, right? You lose them for the first time in forever. You don't play well, right? And to your point, Bear, the offense has stalled out the last couple of weeks. This is a Rutgers. This is the game they circle on their calendar, right, Bear? The Oregon's coming to town. They're doing a scarlet out, like they're doing an all red stadium.
Look out.
It's on Big Ten Network, not to disparage Big Ten Network, but it's not on major television, right? So like, it's just like, it feels like the spot where teams have struggled historically in the past. And the one thing I will say about Oregon is that they have had these sort of letdown spots with Dan Lanning over the years, and they have not played poorly in those games. For example, last year, they beat Ohio State last year. I get that. Went to Purdue and shut them out, 35-0. One thing noted about Rutgers, your first half point, they have played very well in the first half of all their Big Ten games and then end up losing by multiple touchdowns. So if you like Rutgers, I think early is the time to get them. Their depth, and they've said this, their depth is just not there on their team, especially defensively. And if you listen to people that cover the team, that's the problem in the second half of these games, is that they just don't have depth. And so first half, they play well. You look at Washington, look at these other games, and then eventually Sammy just like dives down, but it's a steep number.
I took 17.5. And you can still find that at a couple places right now. A couple books have it. I'm looking at it right now. I do notice, though, Bear, this is sort of a system play on Bear Bets. You realize there's no duck over here in sight. There's no O.
Well, I only do it for the big games.
But we got green. Though.
I got my Oregon hat right
Yeah,
there.
but
green over
I mean,
there.
this is not a ringing endorsement of Oregon.
I wear the Oregon stuff for the big games. So I've worn it twice this year. I wore it for the Penn State game and I wore it for the Indiana game.
This subliminally, though, Will, feels like this is not an endorsement of Oregon.
Do you want me to
Just
get,
looking
do you want
at
me to
the
get
attire.
my helmet out here? I got the hat over there. I can pull out whatever you want.
Rutgers money line?
I'm still wearing. No, we're not doing that. Even though we did joke about Northwestern last week,
We-
money line.
I
and
know,
ended
we
up not
should have
getting
done
home.
it.
I would be disappointed if we lost to Rutgers.
I'm
okay?
terrified, though, as somebody who has Rutgers, I'm terrified of 38-10. Like that terrifies me, Will.
I like the over. I just don't think Rutgers very good defensively, to say the least. And if you went back and watched, I know a lot of people probably watching the baseball game last week, but there were a lot of points left on the field against Washington. Both teams just long drives, couldn't finish. That was a misleading final. Rutgers pretty good on offense. That's the thing with a letdown here with Oregon. I don't know if Rutgers is good enough defensively to let you have a letdown if you're Oregon, but I would only look towards taking the points. I'm with you guys, and I would look towards an over. And how about a 2-leg parlay of Geoff staying to watch the game and Geoff hitting the marriage transfer portal after it?
Yeah, we're not going to do that. I will have to convince her that I'm like, it's 6:30. It's time to watch a little Oregon. She's let me get away with more of that lately. It's time to watch Oregon. Yeah, I got out of that event last week to watch Indiana. Maybe I should have gone to it instead.
Yeah, dinner, prep dinner while you're watching the game. You're good.
It's a good idea.
By the
I'll
way,
make a favorite dinner for her.
By the way, Sammy, speaking of like wardrobe and stuff, I'm in a precarious situation because I just realized I packed for Saturday, like the travel day back, the comfortable joggers and the long sleeve Miami T-shirt. So they better win on Friday, or else I could be in mourning wearing my Canes gear on Saturday if they.
I think it'll be all right.
I think it'll be fine, Bear.
It's best pass offense they played so far. So
Which
we'll
is
see.
good for Carson Beck. Get him into a shootout.
Yeah.
Get some more touchdown passes.
By the way, if they win Friday, we might readdress the whole Carson Beck situation next week. I'm starting to get a little frustrated with some things, but we'll save that for a time as long as they.
It's look, we're reactionary. Like I see articles this week. Mendoza was the first pick in the draft. It's like it's just reactionary to how the week goes. Bear. Miami was off last week. Like you'll get back in the spotlight. Don't worry.
Did you see there was one Heisman voter out there that had Trinidad Chambliss and Sawyer Robertson in his top 5, and not.
Do you vote for the Heisman?
I do not.
So I don't. So the 1,000 Heisman voters, you're not one of the 1,000.
Correct.
Don't know ball.
And I don't know. They need to like trim that voting block by like 400.
It's too many. Correct. How you don't have a? We need to we need to get this. Can someone listen?
I don't have.
Can we get Bear a Heisman
nobody.
vote?
I don't have a Heisman vote. I don't have an AP poll vote.
Well, the AP poll vote, though, to be fair, is like only writers, though. Like it's like 50 of the writers.
Yeah,
So
Mike Hill has a vote.
You wouldn't qualify for that.
Yes, I would. Mike Hill has a vote.
I thought it's only like you have to be
unless they somehow changed it and he got grandfathered in. But anyway, speaking of two teams that are not going to give the Heisman ceremony a guest this year, Missouri, we alluded to, had their chances, could not get over the hump. Auburn, look, I know you're wound up about the end of the half. Whatever was called on the field was how it was going to go. The funny thing is they screwed that up completely, Will. Like, it either should have been a touchdown for Auburn or a touchdown for Georgia, yet somehow they called it a fumble and gave Georgia the ball on the 2-yard line. And then that was the real killer. Georgia going all the way down the length of the field. So you still had your chances to make a play. You didn't. Auburn now 5-14 in SEC games under Hugh Freeze. Missouri looking to bounce back from that first loss. And we've seen Florida State lose after suffering that first loss. A couple of teams now this year have not been able to bounce back from that first loss. So Missouri is slight favorite down there at Jordan-Hare. We think Auburn can kind of get that win and get out some of their frustration against Missouri, or do we think Missouri bounces back?
I like Auburn here. I mean, this is pretty late in the season. I believe first road game for Missouri. That's a very odd scheduling quirk. I mean, we're sitting here a couple of weeks away from Halloween to be playing your first road game. So I like Auburn. I think this is another game where I probably lean towards an under. I don't know where the points are coming from here. I would look to, and again, this kind of goes against my handicap, though. Are we sure Jackson Arnold, they've got some good quarterbacks behind him, like a player prop, just with the idea that maybe he gets benched if things don't go well. I wonder if Hugh Freeze starting to feel that if he's just like completely secure with that job. But I do think Auburn pulls it off. I do think kind of like a 23-20 low scoring game here. And you brought it up, Bear. Ref Twitter had plenty to discuss last week with the Chiefs Lions, which I'm sure Geoff has his thoughts on, and then Auburn Georgia and the timeout. It's I get it. I get frustrated with it too. We put money on these games. We put real money on these games. So when you think you're on the wrong end of a call, it's very frustrating. That being said, it's just very hard to enjoy these games when you're constantly looking for bad calls one way or another.
What did it take? 32 minutes, I think, the final minute and a half of that. 2 minutes, I think it took 30.
Yeah, it was something like
the only thing Geoff likes better specifically is the refs missing a holding call.
Yeah,
that's his favorite.
The Chiefs got called for 13 penalties the week before. Let's not pretend that the officials don't ever flag Kansas City.
How many last game?
I think it was 0. Actually, they called 3 that none were accepted, by the way. Okay. So that's worth pointing out. They called 3 of them.
So there were flags on the play where they knew they weren't going to accept them. They got to make it look like, okay, we're calling it both ways.
Exactly.
You're not going to take them anyway.
I think the Lions got 4 penalties. It wasn't like
I brought this up yesterday at dinner. I said, no flags, huh? No penalties. And he goes, I had 13 the week before. I'm like, yeah, but you're focusing on the 13. I'm focusing on the 0.
There are people, this is a PSA, guys. Don't be a penalty vulture, okay? Don't watch games looking for penalties. It's got to be the lowest form of watching football. Like, I just couldn't imagine watching as much football as we do, guys, and always looking for a penalty. Yes, the officials miss calls. Absolutely. I've said this very, very much. I think the officials cannot miss procedural issues. Like, they can't miss, for example, the trick play that Oklahoma scored against Auburn. You can't miss those type of things. You're going to miss holding. You're going to miss pass interference. We have replay review. That should have been a touchdown. It wasn't. Okay, sure, fine, but you can't make those calls. The question I have about Auburn, guys, is this is 2 games now they could legitimately say, I think, they feel like they got hosed by the officiating. A lot of times I think that's BS. You can say that, but you don't really believe it. But legitimately, like Oklahoma, after the game, they said, sorry, we gave them 7 points because we messed up. In this game, you can make the case that obviously after the call was overturned, or I guess was upheld, Auburn died afterwards. What do they have left after 2 of those games now, Bear? I don't know. I'm off this game because I don't know what Auburn's mindset is after having 2 of those losses.
Yeah, and Will, I kind of was joking about Jackson Arnold, but he just takes so many sacks.
Oh,
He doesn't
so
throw
bad.
the
The
ball
process is
away,
not there.
but he doesn't throw any interceptions. Yeah, because you have to throw. It's like the Justin Fields of college
Justin
football.
Fields,
Like
exactly.
you need to throw the ball in order to
Justin
risk a.
Fields, you mentioned taking an under for Jackson Arnold passing. I know it's not the NFL podcast, but Fields under. He's getting benched this week. There's no way he's making it through the entire game this week. There's no way. How can they run him back out there for another game where he stinks? Sorry.
Traded for him. They traded more for him than the Steelers did initially. Right?
It's your Jets, Bear.
Terrific. Sammy, anything on Auburn in Missouri?
Pass.
Well,
I had a wise guy tell me, I bet Auburn, but I hate their offense. I'm like, there's a ringing endorsement right there. That's exactly what I want to hear.
Bet the game because it's on the board. Oklahoma, South Carolina. South Carolina, Will, I think, feels like a live underdog here. OU, look, I know they got a ton of support last week. We like Texas. They got home, which was great. Mateer, shockingly, played and did not look good. And now this offense, which has really struggled against good teams, goes on the road to South Carolina, another team looking to kind of save their season with the big win. They've been a live dog before under Shane Beamer. 5.5 line in no man's land. Might this just be like a South Carolina money line play, maybe?
Yeah, and maybe if you really want to get more bang for your buck, I mean, isn't it correlated with the under? Because is South Carolina really winning this game 30-27 or 27-24? I think it's ugly. I think it's low scoring. I'm with you. Mateer can say whatever he wants about, I'm healthy. It wasn't my hand. He was bad. He didn't look the same. It's going to affect his running ability. If he can't run, it really downgrades what he is as a quarterback. I think South Carolina is very live in this game. Again, I would look towards an under. I usually don't like this many unders, but I don't know. To me, it's like a 2017 type of game. I don't know where the points come from, Sammy. So give me South Carolina here. I think they're very live to win this game. I like them plus the points.
I don't expect Mateer to be as hobbled as he was last week. This is an injury that will progress rapidly. I mean, he had no business being out there last week, and we talked about this on Monday. I thought Venables did the kid dirty. He wasn't ready to go. When the kid wants to play, I understand it, but the coach has the last say. The coach could say,
correct,
you're not good enough to go, and he had no chance.
It's a mistake because I think it affects the rest of their season. If you just don't play him and you lose, you can always say, well, our quarterback wasn't there. And now it's like, well, our quarterback did play. He stunk. And now you are sort of more depressed as an offense. And now Mateer thinks he might have to do too much or prove too much in this game. But if you just let him sit last week, you make sure he comes back healthy with especially the rest of the schedule. Bear mentioned on Monday, like Oklahoma with their schedule, now the way they look on offense, you could see a big dive down like we saw last season. I just wouldn't have played him for many of those reasons. Like just make sure he's healthy. There's no rush back. You have a backup quarterback for a reason who has some experience. Played okay against, was it Kent State the week before? Okay, just let him play in this game. Try to win with your defense and run the football. It just didn't happen. All right, let's get to our 2 minute.
One thing before a couple other little loose ends to tie up here. Just want to get in here.
I had a bet too.
Yeah.
No,
by the way, we might want to let Sammy talk.
Yeah. Well, Jeff wants to go to lunch. He's hungry.
I am
wants
hungry.
To kick us out of here.
Yeah.
You had a bag of chips. You had a bag of popcorn before. You good?
I had Bear. The bag of popcorn was this big.
9 kernels in it.
It might have been like 55 calories. I've lost 55 calories just talking about football right now.
I expect them to be much healthier 7 days later, and South Carolina stinks, guys. I'm sorry. This is not Texas's defense. I like Oklahoma to win, wheeled with Iowa to win. Money line.
Speaking
Sooners
of
and
Texas,
Hawkeyes.
Speaking of Texas, there has been it's a thing. Like the post Red River letdown under Sark, they are yet to cover the week after Red River. And then you go back to the Tom Herman era, 0-7-1 against the number, 5-3 straight up the week after Oklahoma. So it's been a thing. And I've seen some people on Kentucky this week grabbing 12.5 with UK, who played Ole Miss close. right? Earlier this
Yeah,
year.
they barely covered. Remember, they
the
kicked
lane,
that field goal
they
at
kicked
the end.
field goal late, but they
To
kept
cover,
Ole
yeah.
Miss's offensive
Yeah,
check.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there is that. Injury concerns. We saw a massive move. Clemson down to 6.5 against
Yes.
SMU. So is Klubnik going to play? Arizona State, Texas Tech. It looks like Sam Levitt is in. Baron Morton, we still don't know. They lost their best defensive lineman, interior lineman as well, who's not going to play. And Will, I come to you here. Does Luke Fickell survive Sunday with the team total of 7.5 against Ohio State this weekend?
I don't know where the 8 points are coming from. I can say that pretty confidently. I think that 7.5 is pretty juiced towards the under. That being said, I want no part of the over. I mean,
Minus
it is a lot of
160.
points to lay. Yeah, I mean that is heavily juiced, and that's not a fun one to sweat through because who knows? Maybe they're down so big they go for two.
Go for
at the
two.
end.
Fickell just holding up two.
That's
Two.
We've flashbacks to Penn State Villanova, so it'd be under nothing for me. But I don't like it. I don't know how they score against Ohio State, who's really really good defensively.
This feels like, Sammy, your favorite situation is going to happen this game. You're down 35-0. You kick a field goal.
Field goal.
35-3.
Gotta kick the field
And
goal.
Sammy's going to text us angrily. And I'm going to repeat the same thing I always say. It's good to score some points. It's okay. Score a couple points. You feel good about yourself. This definitely feels like a 35 to 3, like a field goal at the very end of the game. He's like this, like, it's 4th and 8. He's like field goal on the sideline.
It's better when it's 4th and 2, down 35-0. 4th and goal at the 2. 3.
No,
3.
Field goal. Let's go.
Jeez.
That feels like what we're going to have in this game, Bear. All right, let's get to our 2-minute drill of the week, our favorite over-under. Will, we'll start with you here. What do you like?
Under LSU Vandy for all the reasons we mentioned.
Bear?
I like Iowa team total under 21.5. I know this is a little bit of a contrarian play. I think Penn State's defense shows up. And look, this is an Iowa offense that you scored 13 against Indiana, 13 against Iowa State. I know they scored some points on Wisconsin. We kid them about they're
They had a
terrible.
fat guy touchdown, though, too. They had a
Yes,
fat guy
they
touchdown.
did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Iowa does cover the 2.5, 3 and win. But if so, it could very easily be like 20-7.
Yeah, I think I like Iowa. We'll talk about best bets in a second. But I think it's like 17-13 final score.
I would love 17-13 in Purdue Northwestern. That's my favorite under at 47. The Cats have been pretty good. Their defense has gotten a lot better. And I know Purdue likes to get up and down the field, but the Cats, if they dictate the tempo and the pace, this is an under game for me.
How is North Carolina scoring over 17.5 points at Cal on Friday night? I don't know. Their offense is atrocious. They played basically, 3 real teams this year, scored 14 points against TCU, 9 and 10. A lot of turmoil there. Cal can still play defense. So I like under North Carolina 17.5 team total points here in this game on Friday night. Let's go to an underdog that can win outright. Will, you have a favorite underdog to win outright in this weekend?
Yeah, I'll go against Sammy. I'll go with South Carolina. I think that Oklahoma, there's Mateer with the hand, the health, their schedule coming up is brutal. So I wonder where they're at psychologically. I'll go with the Gamecocks.
Fair.
Baylor getting 3 plus 130 or so on the money line at TCU. TCU is a team a couple of weeks back against Colorado really didn't deserve to cover. Yardage-wise, they did great against Kansas State, but lost the game. And Baylor kind of saved their season a couple weeks ago. Late comeback in a game they probably had no business winning against Kansas State as well. But I think with Robertson, that offense, I think off the auto week, I think Baylor can come back, get a win against a reeling Horned Frog. Thank you.
I applaud UCLA beating Penn State, beating Michigan State, but now you reverse roles, and now you're supposed to win, and now you're the favorite at home against Maryland, where there is no home field. I'm sorry, there's no.
Wow.
There's no home
How
field at
dare
the
you.
Rose Bowl.
You're happy Bear lost his money on his UCLA under. That's what it sounds like.
I'm an
it's messed
idiot,
up.
by the way. I did not realize that game kicked early.
12
Did
Eastern.
it, came down, went to the desk, get my earpiece and my laptop to bring it inside, get back inside, and I saw the game had started. So, of course, the one that I did not play UCLA on the money line last week, too.
And you know
Get
they're
off
going to
of it.
lose against Maryland because now they're favored. Now they're supposed to
Yeah,
win.
3.5.
Now the public's going to jump on. They lose.
My underdog of the week is no, it's not. Rutgers.
That was funny for you.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I almost got a funny out.
For you.
Thank you. I like Purdue to win at Northwestern. Northwestern obviously off that big win, but Purdue just please don't turn the ball over. just don't do it. If you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win. Multiple turnovers this year in a lot of big games.
They're good at
Northwestern has only forced 4 all season. So I like Purdue to go into Northwestern and upset the Wildcats here.
Will, appreciate you. Plenty of good stuff. Hopefully, you're looking to keep our winning streak alive, by the way. You're going to have a great weekend because, again, Ryan Day last week came on. What happened? Ohio State win, cover. Sorry, Sammy.
Yeah.
But our streak is going to be continued by you because you're going to have a winning weekend. Thanks to you for hopping on with us again this week, bud.
Appreciate it. Good to see you guys.
All right, we're back on Bear Bets for our best bets. And we'll start off, Bear, with you with your best bets of the week.
Alluded to it earlier. Georgia -7.5 against Ole Miss. You said we talked about their ability to run the ball, hang in there. They're like the best second half team in the country, willing to take a punch, hang in there, and make plays to win. So I do think at home they will hand Ole Miss their first loss of the year and kind of keep their playoff hopes. So they're going to be a tough team to knock out of the playoff. I can promise you that. And then Duke laying 1.5 against Georgia Tech. If you look at Duke's offense, a lot of their numbers like power 4 versus power 4. They're offensive, like in terms of like yards per play, scoring, touchdown percentage, like they're up there with the USCs and the Notre Dames and the Indianas, that like 4th nationally. And a lot of these stats, I don't think people realize how good Benson has been. Their problem's just been turning the ball over. Did it against Illinois, did it against Tulane, but they've been really good lately, and they're a small favorite. If you look at the 6 games this year where you've had the unranked team favored over the ranked team, 5 times you've had the unranked team wind up winning the game. So numbers telling you Duke's the right side. Short slate for me right now. I'm sure in the column on foxsports.com, I'll probably add some more as we get closer to the weekend. On Twitter, we'll have some more as well. A lot of weather to maybe factor in and just kind of figure out some other things as well. So that's all I got for you.
Do you want to brag about your standings right now in the contest?
Not at all. Lot of football to be played.
I was gonna say, are you okay? Only 2 bets?
I know.
You feeling all right?
You got to at least get 5 more for the contest.
Usually I have 2 or 3, and he's got 5. Now I have 5.
No, it's going to be hard for me to fill out a card of 7. I'll be able to fill out 7.
Can I say where you are ranked, or do you want me to just
You can say it. That's fine.
Bears 5th in the contest?
What?
Yeah, 5th in the contest.
Wow.
College contest.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
I'm not in 5th.
I'm 100th, something like that. Yeah.
2.5 points out of first.
Yeah.
Which is, we'll see.
Okay.
And
I'm taking.
And I'm second in the Circa Friday Football Invitational. So
he wasn't going to brag. Now
yeah.
he's second and 5th. Okay.
You set me up. So now,
I'm going
0-7, 0-7 now.
People have no problem telling us we suck.
It's true.
Right?
You're right.
So we should be able to say a couple times a year. I know you're very humble about it when you're doing well. So we're going to bring that
Appreciate
up.
That. Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Sammy.
I'm still fighting with some guy on Twitter who's like, nice pick on Old Dominion. I'm like, they turned it over 6 times. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm taking out Jeff's Ducks, not on the money line, going Rutgers with the points, 17.5. I think Notre Dame could roll USC, just roll. Their offense is so good right now. Need the under, Purdue Northwestern, that's 47. Maryland plus 3.5, and then Tennessee's going to go tit for tat with Alabama and cover the points.
I like Iowa in this spot against Penn State -2.5. Talk to people around the program. Team is broken, I've heard. Guys playing for NFL draft stock. And a quarterback, by the way, who they hope to get reps against FIU and Villanova. But those games were too close. So a guy going to make his first road start. I think Iowa's going to be primed to play. I think Bear's right about, their offense, it could be 17-13, 17-10. Penn State can't block anybody either, so I like Penn State in this game. That's my best bet. I like Cal laying 10 against North Carolina on Friday night. Again, I don't trust Carolina to go across the country. Cal's a weird place to play. Cal's off a bye. They're both off a bye. It's a night game, 10:30 Eastern kickoff for a body clock game for a North Carolina team. A lot of rumors all week about where they are as a program. I like Michigan -5.5 against Washington. Washington as a road team has been atrocious. Defensively, their efficiency numbers are good, but the underlying points per drive not good. 90th in the country on 3rd down. I think Michigan bounces back against that loss against USC. They're better at home, especially with Bryce Underwood there. And like Purdue plus 3.5, as I mentioned, Stop turning the ball over, please. 4 last week, 3 against USC. Northwestern only forced 4 turnovers all season. Hope Purdue can just handle their business and just do what they do. Offensively, they're fine. They stop the run pretty well too, which is what Northwestern does best. Those are my 4 plays of the week. Bear.
A lot of people like Washington this week.
I do not.
I've heard them as a very popular under
because they played well last week and they should be ranked. And Michigan didn't
should
play
they
well.
be ranked?
It's a 5-1. I think they played in a lot of the games. I would argue that they would be a favorite against a lot of the teams at the bottom of the AP top 25.
I got it. Our guy Todd McShay, I saw tweeted
I
that.
saw he's upset about
And I'm like, okay, well, what win do they have to go with the 3-score home loss to Ohio State? Like
nothing.
Rutgers, who knows?
Our friend John Murray at the Westgate, 2 public dogs are forming. Ole Miss, USC.
I love it.
We love it, and we love you for watching us again this week. Check us out again on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Rate, review, subscribe. Remember, less you bet, more you lose when you win.